Silence hung over the great hall of the Galactic Council, like the void itself was holding its breath. Thousands of representatives from countless species sat on suspended thrones in a semicircle, their eyes fixed on a holographic map of the stars blazing in mid-air. At the center of that map, a tiny blue dot pulsed: Earth. Verkal the Eternal, supreme commander of the Zarek Empire, crossed his armored arms and spoke, his voice echoing through the chamber. We've seen this cycle before. Young species think themselves exceptional, they make noise, and then they vanish into the rubble of history. Humans will be no different. A ripple of murmurs spread across the council. Multiple eyes, 2, 3, 6, and more, focused on the Earth hologram. Humanity's technology was noteworthy, yes, but not decisive. They were neither the strongest, nor the oldest, nor the most unified. The law was simple and ruthless. Each species would send a single warrior. One battle. One decision. One victor. This rule had condensed centuries of wars into moments. Verkal's voice carried certainty, bordering on arrogance. We have chosen our champion, a being that has crushed dozens of worlds. And humans, what do they bring to the table? All eyes turned to the human delegation. They were calm. No anger. No fear. No challenge. Just composure. And in that composure, the first misunderstanding had already begun. On Earth, nothing dramatic was unfolding. No speeches bled from podiums. No flags waved. No chants echoed through cities. Only preparation. Deep beneath Washington, in a subterranean strategic command center, General Alan Harding stood with his officers around the command table. His hair was white, but his eyes still burned with the same intensity as 50 years ago. So they want one warrior, he said quietly, because they think war is all about raw strength. Commander Lewis, an expert in cybernetics and electronic warfare, manipulated the holographic display. In their definition, this usually works. One perfect killer. One unstoppable force. The problem is we don't think that way. Dr. Sarah Kane, a civilian ethics consultant specializing in warfare, leaned forward. We don't define a human by a single warrior. We are a system. Training, experience, environment, culture, they combine to make us formidable. Harding nodded. Exactly. And if the rule says we can only send one, it doesn't define what that one represents. A heavy silence followed, until someone smiled. Then we'll send the whole picture. Across 6 continents, at precisely the same moment, doors opened. In Asia, on a quiet mountain base, a soldier adjusted his uniform. His face carried patience, his hands skill, and his mind thousands of hours of training. He trusted balance more than brute force. In Europe, an experienced strategist closed his datapad. He hadn't won wars on maps, but in minds. Every move was a calculation, every decision precise. In Africa, a warrior stood under the sun, breathing steadily. His body was iron, his endurance legendary, and his heart carried the patience that long campaigns demanded. In North America, a tactical operator inspected his gear for the last time. He knew when to strike and when to let the enemy make a mistake. In South America, a soldier adjusted his rifle over his shoulder, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Unpredictable. And that unpredictability was his greatest strength. In Australia, a silent, deadly figure stepped forward on the sands. He came from a world where everything could kill, and that made him fearless. The council was unaware of any of this. They only saw that the human delegation remained unusually calm. Verkal chuckled. If these humans fail, we will oversee their world, for their own good. The words were familiar to every species present, a phrase always directed at the losing side. The human ambassador spoke for the first time. His voice neither loud nor trembling. We respect the rules. We are ready for the contest. No threats. No justifications. That was the second misunderstanding. Galactic media portrayed it as human desperation. Analysts said Earth had no options. They know they will lose, one alien commentator said, so they are preserving honor. On Earth, General Harding gave one final briefing. Remember, we're not here to prove we're the strongest. We're here to show how we think. The day of the contest arrived. Energy waves rippled through the galactic arena. Millions of eyes, hundreds of cameras, all waiting for a decisive moment. The Zarek Empire's champion entered, a towering, armored behemoth, each step shaking the ground. Its history was written in blood and conquest. The council announced, "Humans, present your warrior." A moment passed. Then the sky shifted. One by one, 6 human ships appeared, approaching from different angles at different speeds. They were not identical, and that difference was what unnerved the council most. Shouts erupted. "What is this? This violates the rules." The human ambassador replied calmly, "No, we sent one. Only, our definition of one is different." And at that moment, the galaxy realized, perhaps for the first time, that it had underestimated humanity. This contest was not about strength. It was about strategy. The arena stretched for miles, a surreal blend of technology and spectacle, with energy barriers forming the boundaries of each battlefield. The structure was divided into 6 massive sectors, each designed to test different combat environments. Millions of spectators, aliens of every shape, size, and hue, leaned forward, craned their necks, and whispered predictions. Every gaze was fixed on Earth's single warrior, or so they thought. Before the battle began, the council demanded an explanation. "This is a violation." Verkal roared, his voice echoing through the chamber. "The rule states any warrior." The human ambassador stepped forward, calm as ever. "We have sent one unified force, one system. Your rules never defined what one means. A single body, a single mind, or a single purpose." He paused. "We chose the latter. 6 individuals, one mission, one identity, humanity." The council erupted in debate, but the ancient laws were vague enough that humans had found a loophole. After hours of deliberation, the ruling came. The contest would proceed. But now, instead of one Zarek champion, multiple empires would send their own warriors to balance the field. The Zarek champion stepped into Sector 1 first, its armor glinting with a metallic sheen that had shattered dozens of worlds before. Its multi-jointed limbs moved with lethal precision. The creature's eyes, glowing red, scanned for the opponent it expected, one human, untrained or outmatched, to be crushed in seconds. From the Eastern Gate, the first human unit arrived. Lieutenant Kato Tanaka of Japan led his team with disciplined silence. Their approach was synchronized, calculated, refined through decades of training and countless simulations. No raws. No blind charges. Just precision. When the Zarek lunged, the humans split into 3 coordinated units, exploiting the champion's predictable timing. Energy blasts were dodged, traps triggered, and the behemoth found itself responding to multiple threats at once. Its first mistake, underestimating coordination among humans. Within minutes, Tanaka's unit disabled the Zarek champion's mobility servos without a single casualty. In Sector 2, Captain Elise Moreau of Europe faced the Valdric, a crystalline warrior known for its impenetrable defense. Elise orchestrated her moves like a chess master. She set decoys, altered holographic projections, and misdirected the alien senses. The Valdric swung its massive arms, only to strike air, while Elise's team flanked it and disabled its energy core with a precision strike. Sector 3 belonged to Commander Juma Okoro of Africa. His opponent was the Takan, a serpent-like alien warrior known for speed and cunning. Okoro didn't meet brute force with brute force. Instead, he manipulated the environment, collapsing structures, creating smoke screens, and using the terrain as an equalizer. Within moments, the Takan was tangled and disoriented, vulnerable to a coordinated finishing maneuver. In Sector 4, Major Liam Reynolds of North America deployed autonomous drones ahead of his position. His opponent, the Krev, a towering insectoid with razor-sharp limbs, underestimated these mindless machines, thinking them irrelevant. When they synchronized attacks, Reynolds revealed his trap. The drones were guided in real time by human intuition, exploiting weaknesses invisible to senses. Sector 5 saw Captain Sofia Alvarez of South America using unpredictability as a weapon. Her opponent, the Morvac, a calculating species that relied on pattern recognition, tried desperately to anticipate her movements. But Sofia's tactics were irregular, untraceable, almost chaotic. The Morvac was constantly a half step behind, frustrated and outmaneuvered. Finally, in Sector 6, Sergeant Riatan of Australia strode silently through desolate terrain. Her opponent, a hulking Goroth brute with reinforced armor, charged aggressively, expecting fear. Ria's calm, patient stance, combined with sudden, precise strikes, left the alien bewildered. Each attempt to overpower her failed. By the end of the first wave, every alien champion had suffered unexpected setbacks. Some were temporarily incapacitated, others were visibly shaken. The council murmured in disbelief. What are these humans? They are not just fighters, they are thinking. For the first time, Verkel's expression faltered. The Zarek Empire had always relied on sheer power. Strategy was secondary. But humans were redefining the rules mid-battle. Subtle patterns emerged across all sectors. Every human team operated as a system. No single individual carried the burden alone. Each member complemented the other's strengths and covered weaknesses. They were not relying on luck. Every move was a deliberate calculation. Aliens began to miscalculate. They assumed panic or fatigue would appear after a few maneuvers, as it always did with other species. But humans adapted instantly, improvising solutions and exploiting alien overconfidence. By the time the first phase concluded, the arena was buzzing with tension. What the council had expected, a brief display of power, was turning into a demonstration of human ingenuity. Even as the aliens regrouped, the humans remained calm. No celebration. No overconfidence. Just steady focus on the next stage. The real contest had only begun, and already the galaxy understood. Underestimating humanity was a mistake that could cost more than pride. It could cost survival. The arena had transformed from a battlefield into a theater of calculated chaos. Smoke, energy pulses, and debris mingled with the alien spectators' growing disbelief. Every human unit had survived the first wave, and now the Zarek and other alien empires realized that brute strength alone would not suffice. In Europe, Captain Elise Moreau adjusted her visor, analyzing the opponent's shifting patterns. Her target, a multi-limbed predator called the Vreth, had begun improvising attacks after its initial setbacks. Yet Elise anticipated it, deploying holographic duplicates and setting controlled traps across the battlefield. The Vreth struck one hologram after another, each time wasting precious energy and revealing weak points in its defense. Meanwhile, in Africa, Commander Juma Okoro faced the Takan again. This time, the alien adapted its strategy, using venomous projectiles and high-speed strikes. Okoro, however, had prepared a countermeasure, a series of autonomous nets that could deploy instantly and react to neural signals from his team. As the Takan lunged, it became ensnared mid-air, and a coordinated human strike forced it to retreat, wounded and bewildered. In North America, Major Liam Reynolds faced a dilemma. His adversary, the massive Balkan unit, had a secondary energy core capable of devastating explosions. Destroying it risked collateral damage that could injure civilians watching remotely across holographic broadcasts. Reynolds paused, calculated the trajectory, and improvised an indirect strike using auxiliary drones. The alien underestimated the subtlety of human tactics, and the strike disabled the core, without harm, proof that humanity could combine morality with efficiency. South America's Captain Sofia Alvarez executed the first psychological gambit. Her opponent, a hulking alien with adaptive armor, relied on intimidation. Sofia used reflective surfaces, rapid movement, and sound illusions to create uncertainty. The alien hesitated, misinterpreted signals, and exposed a joint vulnerability. With precise timing, she struck, exploiting both the alien's aggression and her opponent's own assumptions. In Australia, Sergeant Riatan confronted an opponent with unparalleled brute force. Yet Ria had studied environmental factors meticulously. Shifting sands, collapsing cliffs, and hidden pits became her tools. Every strike she made was a lure, every retreat a calculated invitation. The brute's overconfidence led it straight into a trap, immobilizing it without the need for reckless attacks. Across the arena, the results were unmistakable. The aliens were shocked, stunned by how humans could integrate observation, improvisation, ethics, and teamwork. They began to second-guess every move. Every prediction they made was challenged by human adaptability. At the command center on Ith, General Harding monitored every feed. Notice the pattern. he said calmly. They expect linear responses. Humanity doesn't follow linear rules. Anticipate, adapt, exploit. That's how we survive and excel. Dr. Sarah Kane observed the moral component. They are not reckless killers, she said. Every human decision balances strategy with responsibility. That's why they are unpredictable. That's why the aliens can't model them. Even Verkal, supreme commander of the Zarek Empire, felt an unfamiliar unease. For the first time in countless campaigns, raw power was failing him. The humans were redefining conflict. They weren't trying to overpower. They were thinking, innovating, and exploiting assumptions. In the mid-arena, a significant turning point occurred. The Zarek champion, recovering from its first defeat, attempted a coordinated strike on all continents simultaneously. Humans reacted flawlessly. Signals relayed instantaneously, units synchronized attacks, and secondary contingencies were triggered. Every alien strike was met with a counter. Every attempt to trap or divide was neutralized. By the end of the coordinated response, the champion was injured, exhausted, and shocked. It had never faced an opponent that treated battlefield awareness as more lethal than raw strength. Small victories became symbolic milestones. Asia's unit disabled a secondary drone network of the enemy. Europe's team isolated the Vreth for capture. Africa's forces neutralized multiple aerial drones. Each success reinforced one undeniable fact: humans were thinking as a system. They were not individual warriors. They were an integrated organism, with intellect and ethics fused into strategy. Even minor missteps by the aliens caused cascading failures. One assumption, overconfidence, led to vulnerabilities exploited on multiple fronts. Another miscalculation, expecting humans to act predictably, resulted in repeated setbacks. Humanity's ability to improvise and adapt in real time challenged centuries of alien military doctrine. By the end of the second phase, the arena was filled with awe and disbelief. The Council and alien spectators could no longer dismiss humans as mere participants. They had survived impossible odds, outsmarted superior opponents, and demonstrated that ingenuity, strategy, and ethical calculation could outmatch raw power. General Harding spoke to his officers, calm yet commanding. "We've set the stage. They think they've seen our strength. The real test is coming. But one thing is clear, they've already underestimated us." For the first time, a silent truth echoed across the galaxy. The humans were not merely fighting to survive. They were showing the cosmos how intelligence, adaptability, and coordination could defy expectation. And in doing so, they had made every alien empire reconsider everything they thought they knew about humanity. The arena was a storm of fire, energy, and tension. Smoke swirled around shattered platforms, sparks flew from disabled machinery, and the cries of the alien spectators echoed like a chorus of disbelief. Every champion sent by the galaxy's mightiest empires was either weakened, disoriented, or trapped. And yet, none of the humans showed panic. Every step, every decision, every strike was deliberate. From the Asian unit, Lieutenant Kato Tanaka led a synchronized aerial maneuver. His team ships weaved through the energy barriers like threads in a tapestry, dodging plasma blasts while sending precise countermeasures. The Zarek champion, massive and confident just moments ago, stumbled under the pressure of coordinated attacks it could not anticipate. In Europe, Captain Elise Moreau deployed a network of decoy holograms that replicated her team's movements down to the smallest gesture. The alien opponent, trying to target one of the human warriors, wasted precious energy striking illusions. Elise's real team struck in unison, dismantling weapons, disabling armor, and forcing retreats. In Africa, Commander Juma Okoro faced multiple enemies at once, an ambush designed to overwhelm him. But he anticipated the trap. Using the terrain to his advantage, he guided the attackers into zones already prepared with netting, energy pulses, and containment fields. One by one, the ambushes were neutralized, their coordinated attack undone by a single human mind predicting and adapting to every variable. Major Liam Reynolds in North America encountered his toughest ethical dilemma yet. The enemy had set a lethal energy trap over a civilian observation zone. A direct attack could neutralize the threat but risk innocent lives. Reynolds hesitated only for a heartbeat. Then, with precise calculations and clever improvisation, He rerouted the energy pulses using auxiliary drones, deactivating the trap entirely. The alien, expecting hesitation or recklessness, was stunned. Humanity had not only survived, they had preserved morality while winning. Captain Sofia Alvarez in South America executed an audacious psychological gambit. Her adversary, a heavily armored brute, relied on intimidation and pattern recognition. Sofia moved unpredictably, using mirrored surfaces, sound distortions, and rapid environmental shifts. The alien became trapped in a loop of misjudgments, exposing a critical joint vulnerability. With a single, precise strike, she disabled it completely. In Australia, Sergeant Rhea Tan faced the apex of brute force. Her opponent, nearly twice her size, charged without pause. Rhea waited, using shadows and terrain to manipulate perception. As the alien lunged, she guided it into a hidden pit lined with restraining energy coils. The brute's momentum worked against it, leaving it immobilized and humiliated. Across the arena, the cumulative effect was undeniable. The aliens began to panic, their pride and overconfidence crumbling in real time. Every assumption they had about humans, about strategy, reaction time, and morality, was shattered. Verkal, the Zarek commander, felt a creeping dread. For centuries, his empire had relied on power alone. Strategy had been secondary. Yet these humans were changing the rules mid-battle, turning his expectations into liabilities. The final maneuver came from the global synchronization of all 6 human units. Through secure quantum communication and intuitive understanding of each other's tactics, the humans executed a series of rapid, intercontinental strikes. Every alien champion found themselves cornered, countered, and outmaneuvered simultaneously. For the spectators, it was a revelation. The humans did not rely on raw strength, overwhelming numbers, or technological superiority. They relied on intellect, coordination, adaptability, and ethical decision-making. Each move seemed almost premeditated, yet fluid enough to adjust to every alien response in real time. The arena shook with the last display. The Zarek champion, once thought invincible, was trapped by a combination of drone nets, synchronized human strikes, and environmental manipulation. It roared, flailing against invisible forces, but the humans had already turned their assumptions against them. Silence fell. Even the Council, who had watched countless civilizations fall, had never witnessed this level of mastery. Aliens exchanged glances filled with disbelief and fear. The humans stood, composed and uncelebratory, as if the outcome had been inevitable, not because of luck or chance, but because of thought, discipline, and unwavering strategy. In the command center on Ith, General Harding observed quietly. "They still don't understand," he said, a hint of a smile crossing his face. "They think power wins wars. Humanity proves that intelligence does." Dr. Sarah Kane added softly, "And morality. Look at how every decision considered lives, consequences, and ethics. That's why they can't predict us." Verkal looked down at the arena, his confidence shattered. For the first time, a species had not only survived against the galaxy's best, they had outsmarted them, outmaneuvered them, and done so without compromising who they were. The humans had not just won a battle, they had rewritten what it meant to be powerful. Strength, speed, and size were irrelevant. Thinking, adapting, and acting with integrity were the true weapons. And in that moment, the galaxy realized something it had never admitted aloud. Humanity was not merely a participant in the cosmic order, they were a force to be reckoned with. The final message echoed in every corner of the arena and across every transmission channel. Humanity does not fight alone. Humanity fights with mind, with system, and with principle. And that is why no one can predict or defeat them. Silence settled over the arena like a soft blanket after a storm. The dust and smoke of battle drifted slowly, revealing the 6 human teams standing composed, uninjured, their eyes calm but alert. Every alien champion had either been incapacitated or retreated in defeat. For the first time, the galaxy's greatest powers were confronted with a truth they could not ignore. Humans were not to be underestimated. Verkal the Eternal, usually a monument of arrogance, finally lowered his gaze. He had faced countless worlds, dozens of species, and yet humanity had defied every expectation. He realized it wasn't sheer strength, advanced weaponry, or history of conquest that had won the day. It was intellect, strategy, adaptability, and moral discipline. Across the arena, the council members murmured in disbelief. Analysts, commentators, and spectators alike could not reconcile what they had witnessed. The humans had turned the rules on their head. One warrior per species. Humans had sent 6, but each was an extension of a system, a strategy, a coordinated force that no single alien could hope to overpower. On Earth, General Harding allowed himself a rare smile. "They think they've seen humanity," he said to his officers, "but they've only seen the surface. The real test of who we are and what we can do is still ahead." Dr. Sarah Kane nodded. "They'll remember this for centuries. But what they can't predict is that humans don't just react, they anticipate. They don't just fight, they calculate. And they don't just survive, they inspire." The alien media scrambled to broadcast the results. Some reported it as a miracle, others as an anomaly. But one statement was universal: humanity had changed the rules. Across millions of worlds, species that had relied solely on brute force and intimidation now paused to consider a new model of power, one where mind, morality, and coordination mattered more than raw strength. Back in the arena, the human ambassador addressed the council. His voice was calm, measured, and without pride. "We came not to conquer, but to show that humanity can think, adapt, and cooperate. That is our strength. That is why, even when outnumbered or underestimated, we endure." Even Verkal, though reluctant to admit it, felt a spark of respect. Perhaps, he thought, there was more to this small blue world than he had imagined. Perhaps humans were not only a challenge, they were a revelation. In the aftermath, the arena slowly emptied. Alien champions returned to their empires, carrying tales of humans who fought not only with skill, but with ingenuity and ethics. Across the galaxy, whispers began. Could this species, underestimated for so long, change the balance of power? Could a system of thinking, rather than sheer might, reshape the cosmos? On Earth, the 6 human teams returned to their respective continents. There was no fanfare, no celebration beyond quiet acknowledgement of a job completed. They had done what was necessary, not for glory, but for survival and for proving a principle: intelligence, morality, and unity were the ultimate weapons. And somewhere in the silence after the chaos, a subtle message lingered, one that would echo in the minds of every alien empire for years to come. Humanity is not predictable. Humanity is not a tool. Humanity is a force. And this was only the beginning. The galaxy had learned an uncomfortable truth. Humans did not just fight battles. They rewrote the rules of engagement, leaving the cosmos to wonder what they might do next.